Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NAU Sports Show. My name is Casey. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're watching me live or watching me on replay, it means a lot. Thank you so much. I hope all of you have had a fantastic past week. It's coming up to a new weekend, but it's also coming up to a weekend of not a lot of sports. I mean, we still have NAU tennis happening. Men's and women's tennis just won the Big Sky Championships, so congrats to them. Hey, let's talk a little bit about NAU men's basketball. Last year, it was crazy. Just with everything happening, basketball was the first sport, at least for NCAA, to play during the actual real COVID era. So I have the person to talk to about all things NAU men's basketball, Coach Shane Burcar. How are you, head coach?
Good, Casey. Thanks for having me on the show tonight. Looking forward to it. And I can speak from experience from your questions, I'm sure, coming through COVID.
Yeah, definitely. You know, last year, I don't think it was what you were expecting. It's not what you were wanting. NAU finished the season 6 wins, but there were a lot of good things that happened last year. Yes, NAU finished with 6 wins. However, NAU won their first game in the Big Sky tournament victory since 2015, right?
That's correct, yes.
Another one, NAU played against number 1 Gonzaga. Not many teams get to do that. What was your experience to be able to play versus a top-tier team like them?
Yeah, great experience, and we want that experience here. You know, when we recruit our players, we talk about playing at a big stage at a high level, because at the end of the day, we're a one big league, so we want to get that experience early. And the last 20-plus years, my research shows us that the Big Sky teams have played as a 14 seeds, the best that it has played at. So our experience was great. The funny thing about it is we're preparing for our first game against Arizona, and after our shoot-around, I got a text message that game's going to get postponed/canceled. We didn't know if we'd be playing that game. And Coach Few and Gonzaga staff were great. They didn't have to play us. And ironically, we kept rooting for Gonzaga to win because we wanted to play the number 1 team in the country. I thought we were a little bit shell-shocked at the beginning of the game, and this is something you cannot prepare for in practice with their speed and their transition game. No shame in that. You know, they handled Iowa pretty good. West Virginia, and Kansas, just to name a couple of teams that they played before us, and they're undefeated. Obviously, they lost in the national championship game to Baylor, but those are games that we love to play every season. Right now, we're hopeful to play up there again this year. Nothing's final on it, but what we walked away from that, Casey, is we're up in that area for a week straight, and we went to Idaho and we won 2 conference games. So again, playing those type of teams is a great experience with the players that we're recruiting. We want them to want to play in those type of games, and I thought we handled ourselves pretty well in the second half. And I think we left that building that night knowing we have more to give. And you mentioned the 6 wins during the season, as we'll talk about a little bit. But the experience of playing number 1 team in the country, from a player's point of view and a coach's point of view, is it prepares you for the bigger picture.
It definitely does. And playing a team that high up really gives you the motivation and the wherewithal and the get ready to play a tough Big Sky schedule that we did last year, where it was, against the same team 2 times, night after night. Was that hard to be able to do that, or did that give you a way of learning a team to be able to possibly get better versus them the next game?
I actually enjoyed it. And I know it'll never happen again, But if there was a vote, I'd be okay playing those teams, kind of treat it like a football season where one year you might be at Montana, the other year Montana's here. In this case, I do understand it would be 2 games, but at the same time, I'd be fine with that simply because the travel, we don't have a Big Ten or even a Pac-12 travel schedule. Our travel is a little bit challenging at times, especially with the weather and locations. So I would be okay with it. And, our record doesn't indicate it helped us at all. And our home record wasn't what we wanted it to be, of course. But at the same time, I did enjoy it. And I thought the turnaround was good as far as preparing for those type of teams.
There was. So let's kind of go back a little bit. Last year, like I said, for NCAA, basketball was the first sport to play during the COVID era. What did you learn from being in that environment? What was hard for you? What did the team learn of how to be able to cope in that environment?
One thing that I learned about our guys is that, the character of our guys showed. I think it's extremely challenging for an 18 to 22-year-old to, hey, can't do this, you can't do that. Part of the college experience is being able to do different things that you maybe weren't able to do at the high school level or even at the high school age. You get away from your parents and experience life. That was difficult. And the other part is the testing. Whatever testing protocol are we in, who has COVID, how many days we have to sit. And the one thing that I think a lot of people in our industry do understand, but outside don't, is we had 2 times that we were shut down, one time for 14 days and the other time for 17 plus days. And there's no sneaking into the gym and, secret practices or anything like that. I mean, we were shut down. Our last 4 regular season games of the year against Weber State and Southern Utah, I think that we learned that, to have those layoffs, it really hurts you. But at the same time, I think that kind of got us to the point where we could go into our Big Sky tournament as prepared as we could. In a weird about way, you kind of want to get COVID at a certain time so you can play in a Big Sky tournament. And I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but once we were hit the second time, we felt comfortable that we'd be able to play in a Big Sky tournament. Then you always have that anxiety: is who's going to have it, who doesn't have it, are we going to be traced? And the most important thing is the decisions we make and our student athletes' health, along with our coaches. And you just don't know day to day. You could go and get tested at 9 o'clock in the morning, and at 12 o'clock during practice might get canceled because somebody has a false negative or they become positive or false positive. I'm sorry. So that was challenging. You try not to show it, but you're always thinking about it as a coach. And what player has it? What player doesn't have it? Do we have enough guys to play? So, tough time.
It definitely is. So a couple of other instances that, at least as a fan, I saw. NAU was able to win their very first Big Sky playoff game. NAU almost beat Eastern Washington, the Big Sky winners for basketball. Tell me something. What are some other instances that you as the coach see that happened last year? And what are some things that you think the team needs to work on?
Yeah, well, I'll go from the first part of it. Is it was exciting to go there. I remember being on your show last year around this time, and I thought, unfortunately, it was a necessary evil. We got beat against Idaho State, and I think that win against Portland State in the Big Sky tournament, and even getting into a game with Eastern Washington, we didn't make shots, but I thought we were right there. We competed at a high level. It was our best 2 defensive games of the season. So with that being said, I think there's a lot of momentum going into the offseason. I know the guys coming back and the guys that we have coming in are really excited. I think we can make that next step. And I say this, and I know Bill Parcells thinks differently, but I don't know if we were necessarily a 10 seed last year. I know that's what the standings say, and Bill Parcells always says, you are who you are. We didn't play a balanced schedule, and we didn't play all the teams. So, to go up there and win that game was impressive for us. And you never have moral victories, but we had a bad feeling in that locker room after a game against Eastern Washington that if we made some shots, we could have won the game. Now, with that being said, give all the credit to Eastern Washington. They played Kansas well in the NCAA tournament, and they were the best team throughout the year. I know they didn't win the regular season, but they had a heck of a team. And what was the other part of your question, Casey?
What are some things that you think that the team needs to work on to get ready for this coming season?
Well, there's several things. I think the main thing that anybody can look at a stat sheet is say our defense, and we'll work on that. With that being said, I do think we got better during the season doing a couple different things. And I think the biggest thing that we have to do as far as the big picture of our program is we need to own our home court. And that's something that we talked about in our spring workouts. We'll talk about day one when we get back here for our summer workouts. But it needs to be a tough place to come in here and compete. A bad year in our league needs to be 8-2 if we're serious about getting up in the top 3 of our league, top 4, 5, and winning it. And I do think we have the guys who are ready for that. The other thing too is we're a year older. We have the majority of our guys coming back. We've had some nice pieces. So I just think going on a defensive part of it, I think we'll be able to score the ball next year. And we need to finish possessions.
Sounds good. All right. You and a lot of the other coaches and NAU basketball as a whole has been very busy these last few months. Let's get into a little bit of – I'm going to say some names.
Okay.
And you everything you know about them, okay?
You cut out there, Casey. Names and what?
I'm going to ask you some names of you basketball. And if you could go ahead and tell me what you know about them and how they can help the team.
Okay, let's go.
All right. First up, from Virginia Tech, Jaylen Cohn.
Well, what I know about Jaylen is dynamic. He'll be a floor general for us. He shoots at a very high clip, top 100 player in the country coming out of his graduating class, and somebody who wants to be here, someone who, I don't know if you saw the final list of schools, but we beat a lot of good schools on that list. And the biggest thing is that he wants to be here, and we are excited to give him the keys to the car and let him play his style of basketball to help us win games.
How did you be able to talk to Jaylen or even get a hold of him to even think about NAU?
Yeah, well, that's all Coach Fowler's. I give Coach Fowler, Chris Fowler, one of our assistants, all the credit on that. He brought him to the table, came in my office and said, hey, I think we have a chance at Jaylen Cohn from Virginia Tech. And I knew who Jaylen was just simply because I try to watch as much basketball as I can. And he was hurt during the NCAA tournament. I think they played Florida, which hurt him, that he didn't have Jaylen. And so I asked the same question. Now, why in the world are we in the same boat as other schools that were on the list? And it's very simple, Casey. Some of these players, when they play in front of 10,000, 15,000 people a night, that's all fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, they want to play basketball. And that's the thing I'm looking forward to coaching Jaylen about is his competitiveness and someone who has that self-awareness that he knows, with our loss of Cam Shelton, that there's 35, 36 minutes somewhere, maybe one person or a couple people to be had out there. So I think he could see that.
From Northern State, Mason Stark.
Mason, local guy. That's the first thing that comes up to my mind. I've coached against his uncle. I coached not against Mason, but I coached against the school he came from, Marcos, several times. So, and the other thing that really stands out to me is his 5 rebounds a game as a guard. He's been a winner at every level he's been at. With Northern State. Northern State's a very successful basketball program, and I just think he's another addition as a winner for us.
Got it. From Sunrise Mountain High School, Colin Carey.
Yeah, calling somebody, I think that might be a steal for us. Somebody who didn't get a chance to play last spring or the summer, even the fall, and had a great career at Sunrise Mountain. He's somebody that I keep using the word want, but that's how we're building this program. And I think the other thing that I would say about with Jaylen Cohn and Mason Stark, and I don't know if you'll get the justice or not, but the thing that we have going on campus right now, anybody who's been up here on San Francisco Street, is our student athlete high performance center. I mean, the commitment we have to win games and our commitment to our student athletes, their experience here, whether you talk about nutrition, their academics, the strength and conditioning, everything is here for them to be successful. Like Jaylen Cohn, he might as well be at Virginia Tech with our facilities. And I think that's a big commitment that we're getting guys like a Mason Stark. We're beating different schools because of our presentation. I think people know that we're a program on the rise, and most certainly a university on the west side of the country with our student athlete high performance center. And I think if you talk to those guys, they'd be the first ones to say, probably a nice thing because they're smart enough to say that, but at the same time, they would talk about our performance center and the commitment NAU has to winning.
Definitely. Which was a question I was going to ask you about that too.
Yeah.
But last one, big guy from the Florida Gulf Coast. I've seen some of the videos of Justice Rainwater.
Yeah. Well, hey, the comparison's so easy, right? In my generation, Rain Man, Sean Kemp, Seattle, Justice about an hour away from Seattle. We really recruited him hard when he came out of Cochise College out of Douglas, played for a great junior college coach and Coach Carrillo, and had a good experience at Florida Gulf Coast, but he has a little chip on his shoulder. He can come in here. A lot of teams in our league will drop, and we can just sort over the top for his athletic ability. And the thing that impressed me the most about Justice during our recruiting process is how he wants to help our younger players. He wants to help the players that we have around us, and he wants to leave on a good note. And Jaylen Cohn and Mason, and I'll take Colin out of this because he does not have that experience yet, but Justice, they're coming here to play in the NCAA tournament. That's why they're coming. They're not here to play college basketball games. So all three of those guys that we've talked about, with the exception of Colin, have experience, high level of winning, and they're ready to come here and put this place on the basketball map.
I can kind of see it already happening with NAU. Let's see. How's it going to go? Big Sky is about to be served justice. There you go. I like that. I like that.
That's a good one.
Hey.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Hey,
how about Cohn dishing up some ice cream? There got to be something in there with his passing, right?
Oh yeah. We'll definitely figure something out. Definitely.
That's your job. You figure that one out.
Hey, there you go. I'm sure Mitch Stroman will be able to say something way before I will.
He's already practicing.
Yeah, he is. He is. Hey, I saw earlier, a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, on the NAU athletics page that the men's basketball team has toured the new athletic center. What was that experience like? What's your brief take on that?
Oh, the first word that comes to my mind is winning, but let's put it. I would say commitment, goal getters. With our leadership of President Chang and with our athletic director coming in here a couple of Januaries ago, Mike Marlowe, they are just goal getters. They understand the big picture, how to win for a long term, not just have a good season here and there. The expectations, and the other thing too is, it's kind of every day you come to work and it's right across the street from you. If you walk outside to make a call, you can hear the work going on. It just keeps you motivated, and also gives you a perspective, even after a season, that things are going to be better. With the leadership that we have here and the people who are seeing it, the nice thing about when we Zoom with people, like, it's not a pipe dream, Casey. It is happening. It'll be done in December of 21 or early January of 22. And we already have seen it pay dividends. And the other thing, too, that we don't want to lose track of, too, is the guys who are already here. They're the ones who are going to see the change. Nick Maines, Keith Heyman, who have been here. when the trees were still there and there was no construction, or it was just a pipe dream talk. I think those guys that finished their college careers here, to move into that new building gives them something to stand for when they graduate.
Which brings me to my next question. All the guys that did play last season, are they all staying?
Well, a couple guys have transferred. Jackson Larson has transferred out of the program. Cam Shelton has gone to Loyola Marymount, and Luka Dolovic is going to Pacific. And I love all three of those guys. The things that Luka Dolovic, he has graduated. We had him over the house. I mean, nothing but love for all three of those guys. And the reality of it's 2021, and we like to think that we helped them to their next step. If they didn't have success here, they probably wouldn't be able to get into the portal per se. And at the same time, no matter what, Casey, you have to upgrade your roster every single year. If we win a Big Sky championship next year, at this time, we're going to be trying to upgrade our roster. So, and someone like a Cam Shelton, who's a 1,000-point scorer, first team, all conference, we're going to miss him, but we feel really good about Jaylen Cohn. And I know I have two new favorite teams, Pacific and Loyola Marymount. There's no hidden agenda. I'm going to root for those guys, see them in the box score every single night. And at the same time, number one priority is going to be here in Flagstaff and win every game that we play.
Sounds good. Well, like always, it's always been a pleasure to have you on. Before I let you go, Coach, is there anything that you would like to say?
Well, we really hit on it. The thing that I want to get across is we're not talking about being good up here. We're on our way. It's going to be fun to see how we went 16-14 and 6-16. A couple of things happened, as we talked about, when our first Big Sky tournament game. They leave there with that experience, what was relieving, and also the Student Athlete High Performance Center. Anybody who comes up here now, it looks like we can bring recruits on campus. You'll see more and more type of players like Jaylen Cohn and Justice Rainwaters and Mason Stark. And, maybe a Nick Main will come right away here out of high school. Those type of caliber of kids. And at the end of the day, I like to think we have a great coaching staff, but we all know who wins the games, and it's our student athletes. So the commitment here, it's an exciting time to be in Flagstaff. And I know you're starting up with your program for last year. I can just see your show taking off with your commitment to NAU and the athletic part of it. And I appreciate your time, Casey.
Well, of course. Thank you. I bleed gold and blue. Always have.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, Coach. Stay on. I will talk to you in a second, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, comments, or you may want to be on the show, you can go ahead and reach me at NAU Podcast on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook at the NAU Sports Show. You can even find my YouTube channel at the NAU Sports Show. I hope all of you have a fantastic rest of your day and a great week. And until then, always remember, never forget, root NAU. Have a good night.